Assassin's Creed Mirage is the next Assassin's Creed title within the franchise. As things currently stand, it doesn't have a release date, but it's scheduled sometime within 2023. And with what has been revealed so far about Mirage, there's quite a lot of fans excited. So in this video, we are going to be going through 8 key details that you must know. But before we do get into the video, if you want the latest news around Assassin's Creed Mirage as well as other Ubisoft titles, then make sure that you have hit that subscribe button and turn on notification. Every single week we are uploading the latest news around Ubisoft titles, so if you do want to stay up to date on everything, make sure you are following the channel. Getting back into the video. We are still in the early days of news when it comes to Assassin's Creed Mirage. There's still a lot that needs to be revealed, including official gameplay releases, because so far we do only just have the initial announcement cinematic trailer, and also with what Ubisoft have said themselves. But so far what has been said is sounding promising, and that's what we're going through today. So firstly, Assassin's Creed Mirage setting is 9th century Baghdad, with the time period beginning the year 861, a few decades before the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's been described during this time as a key place for knowledge, art, innovation, science, commerce, and power. From what has been revealed so far with the cinematic trailer as well as images, fans have been getting an impression of Assassin's Creed 1, a very similar style, but there are some key differences which we will talk a bit about later when we discuss some of the other points. Ubisoft have said that they looked at historical documentation and other cities of the time such as Samarra to recreate Baghdad with as much accuracy as possible. The second key detail is that Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to be far smaller compared to what we've had within Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins, and for a lot of people, including myself, this is definitely a good thing. Baghdad itself is divided into 4 unique districts. This is far less compared to the likes of Valhalla, which had 14 separate locations based on counties within England, as well as there being additional locations on top such as Norway, Asgard, and there also being many more. But with most fans agreeing on this, just because you have a large game doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good game, and that is definitely the case in Valhalla. It took away from the Assassin's Creed experience with parkour and stealth and just made it completely open. Yes, there was definitely some great sights to see, but it just didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. And that's why Ubisoft are taking it back to the original roots, something a lot more dense and built up so you can parkour building to building, and there isn't any need for any other type of mode of transport. With it being a lot smaller, it gives Ubisoft the ability to go deeper, making sure everything is done to the highest possible standard. And I just hope that this isn't something Ubisoft are saying and that they're actually going to do. The third key detail is gameplay is going back to the original roots. You'll see social stealth, faster parkour, and agile assassinations. The idea that's been advertised is that players will be able to look forward going back to the roots of the series whilst experiencing a modern take on gameplay with iconic features of the early games, but also them being more polished. All of this mixed together with a more narrative-driven approach to progression and a more contained map to explore. The fourth key detail is the changes to stealth. Ubisoft says that Assassin's Creed Mirage has a much bigger focus on stealth than in more recent games, and it really comes down to what we did slightly mention earlier with the map size. Because Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins was so massive, there wasn't really a need for stealth in a lot of missions. You really could just run in and assassinate your target. Not to mention that because the world was so massive, Ubisoft simply didn't have time to go in and start focusing on these small key details, which were there to ultimately provide stealth. But with Mirage, they're taking that step backwards, which allows them to have more time, and they've structured most missions around a loop of identifying, hunting, and eliminating a target and then vanishing. And to support the embrace of stealth within Assassin's Creed Mirage, Ubisoft has reworked their detection systems to allow for more granularity and feedback, structured the design of the city and the rooftops to better allow for stealth approaches, and introduced new tools to aid with combat and escapes, some of which had been part of previous Assassin's Creed but are now brought back. Alongside this, point number 5, Assassin's Creed Mirage will change the way that parkour works. Some of the hardcore fans of the franchise will notice that the second that Ubisoft went with Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla, that there was actually less animations and less parkour moves, simply because they weren't needed. Because the world was so big yet again, they took away those animations because there was no point in having them. Parkour no longer became the #1 way to traverse the world. You had many other options. But as Baghdad is a densely layered city, it makes sense for those animations to come back and for them to add more blending options so that it looks a lot smoother, as well as you can move to other and new animations which have been added specifically for Mirage. Parkour will be the #1 way for you to traverse the city. And Ubisoft are saying that this will feel better than ever. But of course, do take that with a grain of salt because they are going to say that for any new game that they release. What they've said on top of this, though, sounds more promising because they've said that they've reworked the complete rooftop system, which allows you to have more options, and with that on top of the more options with animations for parkour moves, you should be able to see and traverse in a way that you've never been able to do it before. Key detail number 6, assassinations within Mirage has also been revamped. Because Ubisoft are going back to the original roots, and they did decide to go and change stealth and parkour, with there being a more of a narrative driven storyline behind it, it only made sense that they also introduce new ways for assassinations. This will include new types of moves, but also the whole layered mission itself. The main assassination events will take place in what Ubisoft is currently calling black box missions. These will be contained within Baghdad's districts, and you'll have the freedom to chart your very own path to the target by blending with the crowd and following their path or tracking them from the rooftop positions. Mirage will introduce all new assassination animations, new upgradable assassin tools, and the capacity to set traps within the environment. All of which has played its part in previous Assassin's Creed games with setting traps, as well as just the whole loop of being able to assassinate a target. It's just now it's going to have a much fresher feel, and with those changes as already mentioned to parkour and stealth, it should bring more options for you to decide how you're going to approach the mission itself. More options than what has been available within previous years. Number 7, we must talk about the story. Assassin's Creed Mirage story is set to be more linear than recent games in the series. For the last few games in the series, you've been able to select whether or not you want a male or female character, and you've been part of a branching dialogue system, which does change certain aspects of the game depending what you choose. With Mirage, that will not be the case. There may be a few things within the middle which will have a slight difference depending what you actually go for, but it will have a set beginning and it will have a set end. The narrative is structured much closer to the first Assassin's Creed games in the sense that it is more driven and linear to what players experience in the last couple of games that have been available. You will still have the freedom to explore and experiment, choosing which order to tackle assassination missions, and this is the bit which changes, but towards the end there is a set end, alongside it being part of a set character. Your options are less, but this also links into a theme that is reoccurring through this video. Because there is a very specific and linear story, it does mean that Ubisoft are able to polish that story rather than have to worry about the branching dialogue and what leads to what, and ultimately rushing the final product. And finally, key detail number 8, Assassin's Creed Mirage will be around one character, and that character is Basim. Basim was a critical character during the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but Mirage will follow the character 20 years prior and track his ascent from street thief to apprentice to master assassin. You will be able to follow the transformation of a defiant young man into a refined master assassin with a conflict destiny. As part of Basim's journey, he'll also get more insight into the Hidden Ones and the evolution of the ancient organization that was founded by Aya and Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. So even though with Mirage we're going back to the original roots of the Assassin's Creed franchise, it still ties into recent storylines, whilst also bringing some of the biggest and best mechanics from the games that players have enjoyed. These are the 8 key details that you must know about Assassin's Creed Mirage. There's still a lot that needs to be revealed between now to the official release date, including the release date itself, because that also hasn't been announced by Ubisoft as of yet. And of course, with all of this, this is just what Ubisoft have said about the game so far. We still need to actually see gameplay to make a final decision. Everything that has been announced so far does sound promising. We just need to make sure that Ubisoft are able to execute this and deliver a game that the fan base will enjoy. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.